Hey, welcome, and thank you for joining us today for Practical Tech Interventions for Aging Buildings, a SAGE Tech Talk. This is a tech talk that we are having, I would say, just about every month, Matt. Don't you think it is?
I
Yeah,
concur.
it's pretty regular. It's a collaboration between SAGE and Tazergy. It's a
Hello.
senior, it's a senior living technology version of a short version webinar here. Let's have introductions. Matt, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Matt, CEO of Tazergy, founder of Tazergy, and Tazergy is a senior living focused low voltage design consulting service implementation group team solution oriented and all that jazz.
That was a mouthful, but all things tech. You know your stuff, right? My name is Jill Schroeder. I am the current SAGE president, and I'm so happy to be hosting this on behalf of SAGE and Tazergy. I am a senior architectural planner and senior interior designer with Pope Design Group, and that's an architectural firm out of St. Paul, Minnesota. I volunteer my time with this organization as a commitment to bring all of you relevant content to help better our design for aging community. And for those of you not familiar with SAGE, we are the Society for the Advancement of Gerontological Environments. It's a membership-based organization representing and promoting collaboration between all disciplines in the senior living industry. So planning of educational content such as this and presented by Matt, who is a member of SAGE, hopefully gives you insight into a topic, and with any luck, maybe you learn something new. So these tech talks are free to you and happen, like we said, every month. If you like what you see and hear today and are not a member, please consider visiting our website, sagefederation.org, for information on SAGE membership. And Matt, you live in the world of tech and you support system design, implementation, and consultation for this challenging field. We want to hear what you have to say on today's topic, practical tech interventions for aging buildings, because I think just about every operator out there has some bit of renovation or remodeling that they look at for already existing infrastructure and old buildings, etc., and they need to revive them in some way at some point in time. So, um, what do you want to start with? A big
I
topic on
I
this.
think we should talk about wall coverings and
Oh my
carpet.
gosh. No, no. Tech, focus,
Oh,
focus.
right. I That's usually what's talked about, right? Like it's like, hey, we want to renovate and we want to do something cool. So you just gravitate to interior design, which is
Yes,
necessary,
it's true,
right?
though. We can witness
Um,
that. Yeah.
yeah. Um, we go back to some of the beginning stuff, like what do you want to achieve out of the space that you can't now is one
Yeah.
thing, right? I also think the other piece that you need to consider is the size and scope of the project.
Yeah.
Is it a refresh? An expansion? Campus wide, just one building, a section of building and dining hall, that type of thing. So um, aligning the size and scope of a renovation with tech overhaul can make sense. And just a disclaimer, adding tech into renovations, it's not easy. So the fact
No.
that it's not default, don't feel bad like you're behind the eight ball with anybody else. It is a challenge. It's a challenge. So especially for aging buildings, some of the scopes that our team is engaged to do is to do just that, go into an aging building in preparation and planning for a CapEx renovation
Yeah.
to capture what systems are there, how are they used, can we integrate, can we tie in, can they be expanded, should they be expanded?
Yeah. I think that sometimes when we're starting with renovation, even that early conversation in pre-design, some think that technology could solve all the issues. Like you said, it's not an easy thing, but
Right.
it really is the area that you're renovating, and then how far you want to move that control or something to lean into technology. And I think just by even listening to this webinar, short short and sweet, but starting to educate yourself on
Yes.
what is out there to even have those conversations and be a little knowledgeable. That building up of your knowledge is one great step. I do want to, before you go into things, Matt, I should have said, I forgot to say, uh, any of you listening can type in at any time. We left the chat open. So if you have an ongoing project right now and you want to ask a question to Matt, go for it and stick it in the chat. And it's what, the Q&A button or the chat, and we'll
Yeah.
be
Or
able to see those at
the
any time. So please feel free to do that. Okay, so back to the renovation.
one other
So
disclaimer: if you say anything inappropriate, Lori's going to shut you down. I'm just
there
saying.
it is.
Like,
That's true. That's true. That's right. Inappropriate conversation. That's right. No, but knowing about what technology can do for you, and that was why we
hmm
had this topic, and how far it could take you. It's not going to solve all of your issues. And I'm thinking of robots. Robots can solve a lot of issues, but not everything.
right.
Communication. I mean, should I
It
break down each topic
No,
or?
right. I
Okay.
mean, as you're looking at your space, what problems are we trying to solve?
Yeah.
And technology, it can help achieve an outcome, but
Yeah.
we need to know what it is, what problem we're trying to solve, what outcome are we trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So a robot, hey, are we trying to, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to um, streamline the labor force, or are we trying to solve a physical plant problem? Are we
Yeah.
trying to cover greater distance because we don't want to move a space?
Yeah.
Those things need to be considered and talked about academically. Like, we can answer some of those questions. It's a math problem, right? How does a
Yeah.
robot get from point A to point B? What does it take to achieve that?
Right. Actually, that is a good breakdown. The robots, the dietary and the house cleaning robots are brought on, in my opinion, because I'm a planner, to address staffing issues and a financial model, and it's making it easier for a building to perform. But they're not going to solve the issue of that distance. So if you're remodeling and you've got things that are
Mm-hmm.
far distance away, it's maybe not practical. I mean, to
Well,
look at that.
it's again, what problem are we trying to solve?
Yeah,
Are we trying to avoid having to relocate? Let's just say we're trying to avoid relocating a kitchen, or we're putting up a new dining room, or
yep,
relocating the dining room. How do we solve the problem of what? Food transport?
right.
And if we just focus on food transport, and then we got to think about temperature of food, how much food is going to have to be transported? Are you going to just bring it from the kitchen and do hot wells? But again, you can't just say solve it with a robot without
Yeah,
having a collaboration with
right.
a greater team to validate whether technology can play a role in helping
Yeah.
solve that problem.
Actually, for this tech talk, we had written some bullet points, and the first bullet point says enhance care while honoring resident dignity and privacy. And if we apply that to that conversation of a
Mm-hmm.
robot delivering food service, etc., the honoring resident dignity and privacy is, if that, the example that we want to say that may not work is a robot going through public corridors, those resident corridors. It's it's that intersection of the resident privacy and conflicting with your
Mm-hmm.
daily movement, etc. It needs to be back a house or that kind of out of the way, unless it's
Right.
in the dining room kind of thing. But
And if we I think the topic of a robot is a great conversation
yeah,
that can demonstrate why we don't want to just focus on tech,
yeah,
right? Because if we just say, well, robots will fix the problem,
yeah,
that if you might not get it right. And if you move forward with your planning, expecting the tech's going to solve the problem, that's an expensive mistake to
for the
find yourself
distance
in.
quotient, but
For the
still good in a dining. Yeah.
yeah,
So okay. So not to talk everything
right.
about robots. Let me go back to another statement that we had made in the
Mm-hmm.
title. It says purposeful interventions can lead to improved operational, clinical, and financial outcomes. Can you give it a great example that comes to mind of a great go-to tech solution that is a good place to start? Not the solution, but a good place to have early conversations about.
So let's give an example of
Yes.
an expansion space.
Yes.
So if you wanted to expand an area, multi-purpose room,
So a
an
common area.
auditorium to
Okay.
a common area, right? Or
Okay.
you were saying, hey, I'm making a new space that doesn't exist.
Yep.
The need was we're an old community and our meeting space is really no longer serving the needs. We need
Sure.
something more dynamic,
Yep. Okay. Yep.
right?
Yep.
So what is
Always. That seems to be
always,
always the case. Yep.
right? You need, there's a whole role of AV, but there's a tech interaction there with existing electronics, your wireless infrastructure, what your
Uh,
IT stack is. You can't just say, hey, I've got this space. Hey, design me this little box. You're working with Tazergy. Hey, just draw me a room, tell me what should be in it, and then ship it off to your GC and build it. It's going to be a fail because you don't know how you're
right.
connecting to the existing plant
System. Okay. Yep.
system, right? And even as
Okay.
you're expanding that space, you've got fire alarm that needs
Yep.
to be expanded there. You have lighting. So to improve the operational areas, that was when we're engaged on scopes like that, we're focused on the operational outcome that is expected for the space. Let's fast forward to a finished space. Take us through, client or operator, what you want from the space. How do you want to interact with this space?
Mm-hmm.
And then we move into pairing technology that can achieve those desired operational outcomes. Does that?
Yeah.
And that's even from the robot conversations. Like, hey, well, the problem we're trying to solve is how do we avoid moving the kitchen? Well,
Right.
let's talk about operationally. What is it that you want to achieve? And then let's start looking at what technology solutions can
Can
help
do.
achieve that.
Can
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next question that you have to ask is, who's best to buy that out? Is it your in-house IT, or who's going to be involved in selecting, buying that out, implementing that? And
Yeah.
that's why tech kind of sits in that bucket that nobody really wants to talk about because it can get complicated. It does require other parties that sometimes don't want to attend or don't have the time or don't understand the importance of
Yeah.
their role in the conversation. That
Yeah. There's been conversations in renovations where also too, uh, technology has been discussed as can technology serve or solve issues of staffing for, let's say, the receptionist and take the place, because we see some of that happening in, I'm not going to use the right terminology, Matt, but it's hands-free, or where you go up to a kiosk for healthcare and
right.
touch in. But does that work in senior living,
So
or in what conditions, or is that another conversation of it just depends?
if you want my opinion, which is
I
not
do.
necessarily the answer, the be all end all, but my opinion of this industry in senior living is
Yeah.
that we are advertising and saying to our resident families and general audience, come here, we'll
Yep.
take care of you. We have the
Yes.
people, our people are going to spend time with you, pay attention to your needs, meet your needs, and you're going to excel, thrive, come here to live,
Mm-hmm.
a full life. And look at every senior living operator is trying to enhance that. You that pick the words. It's not like come here to die. No, nobody wants to say
No,
that, right? Yeah. So my opinion is let's not use tech to replace people. Let's
thank
use
you.
technology
That's
to
exactly, yes.
promote and elevate resident interaction. Let's allow
Yes.
tech to liberate our team to spend more time with the resident.
So to enhance without being seen,
It's
enhance
yeah,
services and amenities, but not take the place. I love that
right,
explanation, because far too often we're getting into conversations where it's the conversation of what can tech do to replace this and this, because we're in a renovation. We're tight on
right,
space. We're tight on
right,
this area. We don't have room for this. What can we do
right.
for technology so we don't need that, that person there, or this kind of
And
thing here.
the conversation could, this is why it's important to have the conversation with the operator.
Hmm.
Please don't think that, I'm going to call Tazergy and then they're going to be able to answer it for me. No, we're going to
Right.
tell you we need the ops person who has the perspective and visibility to be able to answer some of our operational minded
Yeah.
angled questions. How many receptionist areas do you have? Well, if you have 5, do you
Yeah.
need all 5?
Yeah.
Can we take advantage of a kiosk at a couple of them?
Yeah.
How would that benefit operator your staffing rate? Would you be able to take advantage of that role over here? Would that work from a customer expectation interaction standpoint? And
Yeah.
if they say yes, well, wonderful. Now we can move down the path of figuring out how tech can be used to help solve that problem.
Yeah. So, with today's topic of being practical tech interventions for aging buildings, what would be, because aging buildings always have major infrastructure system issues. The windows, the air conditioning and the mechanical, the whole
The
HVAC
age of the
system needs an overhaul. So
If you talk about IT infrastructure, you just
there you
might
go.
have regular phone cabling. You might
Okay.
not have internet cabling everywhere.
Okay.
You may have you may find yourself with a campus that has been upgraded in different projects and they're piecemeal together.
When you have standard phone cabling instead of upgraded, what is someone looking at when you talk about that? Like, explain that further. Is it in their best interest to upgrade that infrastructure as one of the first things? So now that you can achieve this and this and this, like, give me some examples or talk about
Sure.
that a little as a
Uh,
layperson.
as a layperson, let's also talk about what type of community, because the answer can vary
Sure.
depending upon whether you're talking about a campus-based CCRC
Yeah.
versus a single building AL memory care.
Yeah.
Or you might be somebody who's trying to repurpose a hotel and you're gonna buy it and redo it. So
Yeah.
in all of those examples, the one of the keys to understand is what resident services are you expecting to deliver to your residents?
Okay.
What are you selling and advertising? You want to make sure that your expectations
Yeah.
are in line, right? You don't want to put something in and then not capture it on the marketing side
Yeah.
so that your team can properly communicate what it is that they have when you move into the community. So that's just an important thing to align with technology. And I'd say that's just one of the gaps we find in a renovation, even in new design, is that we're
Okay.
focused on trying to buy the tech
Yeah.
and we
Not
forget about connecting the dot on our sales and marketing team to
sure.
bring them in and help define that messaging that
Okay.
is accurate. So to
Makes
me, that's
sense.
just
Yeah.
an important thing for those out there to just remember that and to highlight that. If you're on the design side, just make sure that the operators are aware of that as you're having the dialogue with
Yeah.
them. Um,
So if you're upgrading, I'm going to go back to this. If you're upgrading the standard phone cable system or that to new, what is it? Cat
well,
5 cable
let's
and
just
what I
say
mean,
if you're moving off of analog, which
there you
is
go.
not
Thank you.
built to transmit data, and
Yeah.
you want to move to a medium that can transmit data,
Yeah.
whether that's the 5E, the 6,
Yeah.
the
Right.
6A, and
Yeah.
beyond,
Yeah.
or fiber, right? It is about what you're envisioning for the space from an ownership group. How long are you going to own this project, and what are you
Yes.
trying to achieve, right?
Sure.
I
Yeah.
would definitely say we're always going to say fiber is going to be the medium that has the most capacity and seems to have the longest lifespan.
Okay.
But it's not a one size fits all over the place,
Okay.
right?
Is
So
is fiber the most expensive route to go? Is that what you're saying? Is it,
no,
or is it
fiber fiber is going to be the fastest. I would say that the price of fiber and the electronics that drive it was usually the price factor. But
okay?
these days, the price factor has definitely has come more in line with copper.
Oh, okay.
You've also got distance. Fiber can traverse massive distances
Yeah.
compared to copper. Um, the challenge, this is where the gray area in a renovation and expansion is. If you're just talking about corridors, that's one thing. Are you going to upgrade your building infrastructure when you're just doing the corridor?
Right.
Probably not, but it's still worth asking your team,
Yeah.
hey, by the way, we're doing a refresh.
Yeah.
All the ceilings are going to be ripped open.
Yeah.
Well, did you know that the IT group was planning an infrastructure upgrade and they've been quoting
Yeah.
and figuring out how to do this? And so it's kind of like, well, do you want to take advantage of the open ceilings now? Is it worth it? So
Yeah.
for me, you could call it somewhat of a master planning, but sometimes it just takes a little bit by asking the extra question involving the other people on your ops
Yeah.
team. That can, you might be able to pick up a win that
Yeah.
sets you up for the next upgrade. So
Yeah.
to me, that's looking at your renovation expansion, your aging buildings. You're taking it from where to where.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the important thing with tech, because it's just like Legos. They
Yeah.
have to fit together, and so you can't just unintentionally grab a piece and expect that you're going to be able to put it together without having to disassemble something.
Right. I also think of when we look at renovation projects and you're not building a new construction, you're renovating the existing campus. So you have existing residents living there. Like you said, they want to be informed of what's going on, what's the disruption. But I think when you do a major renovation project, I think it's good to look to technology to enhance that experience, to foster social interactions and new friendships and new activity, to activate the new space, whether it
For
just got a
sure.
cosmetic refresh. But I think I love that the technology where you can get the digital readout, and whether it's near the elevator or something that says, there's a card game competition
Mm-hmm.
happening in game room on the first floor, West Wing or something like that. And then you as a resident living there and say, oh my gosh, I want to join in on that. That's cool. And that's happening real time. Someone's gonna plug in something that may not be something programmed by staff. It's maybe resident initiated, but yet it's activity that's showing you as a resident who lives far on the other side of the campus of something that's happening that
Mm-hmm.
maybe gives you an opportunity you want to join in. And that's, again, a technology where I think you would need good infrastructure
You
for the
do.
communication or, okay.
This is also, if you're talking about renovating one space and
Yeah.
the digital signage,
Yeah.
that to physically get that display installed, the
Right.
structured cabling there, the power, the rough in, the
Yeah.
elevate, all of that accomplished is one piece. And
Yeah.
that is a piece that is required in order to deliver that digital signage
Yeah.
content, right? In order to deliver the content, that might be part of a different question and initiative that isn't necessarily part of this renovation expansion initiative,
Yeah.
because you wouldn't necessarily just deliver digital signage to a single display,
You're right. Yep.
right?
It's a
So
network. It's all over.
it's right.
Yeah.
So if a community doesn't have digital signage and they want it, that's part of, okay, well, we're starting here, building block, what do we do over here? But the other
Yeah.
point that you raised that I think is very important is, for aging buildings, you've got a benefit that new buildings don't.
Okay.
You have residents. They have opinions. I know, strong, but they live there. They have ideas.
Right.
So soliciting them, engaging them for what they're hoping and seeing from their spaces, it's a powerful tool to
Yeah.
take advantage of and say, what would you guys like to see in this space? Is there some things that you would, and that's part of the collaboration. So I guess from an operator standpoint, don't feel like you need to answer it on your own, or a developer. Ask your residents, the people
Yeah.
that call it home, right?
Yeah. True. Yeah. Okay. We are running out of time. Do you, Matt, when we
Can you
were
slow it down? Like the time, not you. Sorry, just one. Okay.
I know the half hour flies by
Yeah.
so fast. No,
Yeah.
but when we were at just recently at Environments for Aging conference, we had started a members only benefit. And
we
I
had.
think it's fantastic, a fantastic value for our members. Do you want to explain that a little bit and talk about it before we run out of time?
Absolutely. Let me just throw this up right here really quickly. This is ready for print, so this is why it's one page.
Okay.
So just in case you can't read what's on the left, you can read what's on the right. Hold on. Share. I selected, but then I didn't click the button share. I
No,
wish I
you
could drive
didn't.
technology.
You're supposed to be good at technology.
Yeah, listen, everybody makes mistakes, and I'm far from perfect. So yeah, here we go. A new member benefits only for anybody that is signing up new as a SAGE member. Tazergy is offering a one consult per member, so you can engage us. We will review some drawings. We're putting a 1-hour consultation, and we'll schedule that with you when you sign up. So you can reach out to our team, and we'll work with SAGE and make sure that that is
I think
in
this is
effect for you.
a fantastic thing. Again, people don't like to talk about technology. The lack of knowledge makes people a little scared to talk about it. So it's not for new members only. This is for all members. So but it goes especially for renovation. Start those conversations to know what are the big picture things that you're, guidance on
Right.
all. I mean, I think it's fantastic. So
Agreed. The
thank you.
takeaway,
Thank you,
please,
Matt.
please make
Yeah.
sure you engage in that conversation and have some experts there that are helping call the audience. It's the same thing that the architects are doing.
Yep.
Let's identify what we want to achieve. So great work.
Okay. You guys watch for the next information or the next date that we're going to have our next tech talk. Spread the word. What was the topic that we're going to be talking about next, Matt? Do you remember? It was a survey that we did last time and it came up with
I do. It's something about back that up. Well,
back that up.
yes.
Please clarify.
Backup generators and disaster planning.
Yes.
And preparedness. Yes.
Good.
Again, strategic. Absolutely. So we'll get you the wordsmith title, but
yeah,
Jill and I are not the wordsmithers. We're just the troublemakers.
Any comments you all have, send them to us at sagefederation.org. Put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A, talk to us somehow. We will definitely talk about anything tech in upcoming. And thank you all for your time. Any parting words, Matt?
Thank you for your time. We look forward to more chats.
Good. Happy early Mother's Day to all you mothers.
Indeed.
All right. Thank you for joining us, guys. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.